Hello everybody, J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with the final episode of The House in Fata Morgana. Now, last time we left off, some major things were revealed, so if you don't want those spoiled for you, I highly recommend you go and check out the last episode. But, I'm going to go ahead and recap that now. So, last episode, we found out, we really found out the origins essentially of the white-haired girl. She was driven out of her village, being accused of being a witch. Ended up at this mysterious manor, met a mysterious guy named Michael who killed whatever he touched. And once the townsfolk finally tracked her down to the mansion, he makes this final, they make this final stand essentially. They hug, so she quote-unquote dies. He protects her dead body by murdering all the villagers that were coming after him, but he dies in the process. But it turns out the white-haired girl didn't die. She was, I guess, immune to him somehow. But that was when the actual witch revealed herself, and it turned out to be none other than the black-haired maid, which was fucking, I had an inkling that the black-haired maid wasn't all that she seemed to be, but yeah. So the black-haired maid has basically been our antagonist this entire time. She promised the white-haired girl that, hey, if, I'll make your wish come true. You'll be able to see Michael again, but there's not going to be really any guarantee. You're going to have to go, you're going to have to live multiple lives and if you run into each other, it's going to be purely based on chance. Basically, if you truly do love each other and you truly do wish to see each other again, you'll see each other again. But until then, you're basically going to be consistently reincarnated time and time again. So she had been reincarnated so many times that she had lost sight of who she actually was. And so it turns out that us as the player being led throughout this mansion and told all these different stories was actually, we were the white-haired girl, and the black-haired maid was trying to get us to basically see, not only regain who we were, but also see that, hey, look, you've lived all these horrible lives, and this wish of yours has caused you nothing but trouble. Give up on it and stay with me for eternity. So that's where we're at right now. We've got a couple of different decisions that we can potentially make, but without further ado, let's jump right back into it. Okay. So we can accept her proposition, we can reject her proposition, or we can say that there's still more to be done. I think I want to kind of save the last two until, for the final. God, that's very loud. Let me turn that down. So I think I want to save these propositions because here's my theory. I think accepting her proposition is one ending. I think I would like to say that rejecting her proposition would be the quote-unquote true ending. That's just an assumption on my part, but I'm gonna go ahead for the first choice. We're gonna do there's still more to be done. Something seemed off, not only with the story she just told, with her, and with you yourself, assuming everything she said was the truth. Oh yeah, we're Giselle. Excuse me. Which or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Oh, this is him. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret or the curse? You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real. Very much so. I don't think I gave him an accent. It is not a legend nor a fairy tale. The witch is me. Oh. That's right. It wasn't the white-haired girl who'd claimed to be the witch. And that wasn't all. Or do you mean to reclaim your old self no matter the cost? If you do, if you're sincerely prepared to do that, then be wary of the tale that comes next. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that, a fabrication. None of your questions had been answered. You still didn't know who the painting was, or what had taken place so long ago that caused the mansion to summon people to it. You didn't even know who you were, for that matter. There was still more to be done. You had to find the truth. You needed to find someone. That much was certain. But was the story the maid had told correct about whom? And if it was, what about her? What about the woman whose name you couldn't say? The woman who had so cheerfully called you master? We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other, no? You must say her name. You must take her hand. You must make her smile once again. You mustn't reclaim your old self. It's dark. Dark. It's dark. It's dark again. It's dark. 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 Constantly engulfed in darkness. You threw it away. Every single time I must break out of this darkness. I'll give you a world that's not cruel to you. I must escape and take her hand. Because that's the reason. Oh, I've got a wonderful idea. I came here. Oh shit, it's a back and forth again. Okay, you threw it away every single time. I'll give you a world that's not cruel to you. I must break out of this darkness. I must escape and take her hand. Because that's the reason I came here. You can curse them with me. I must return. I must reclaim. We can think of new ways to torture them. We'll all be happier if you stay here. Just think about it. Stay here and in this world. You'll be right at home. No. I did the best I could for you. Nothing more. This is not where I belong. No matter how much a world of darkness may suit me, you'll never be able to do it. I must reclaim my true self. This is brilliant. Do you have any idea how terrible a decision that is? Do you have any idea why I fabricated that story? It was all for you. To stay here. To stay right where you are. The darkness suits you better. We're breaking out, boys! We're breaking out! Remember what someone told you not long ago? That you could handle the stories because they weren't your own. That you were able to bear the tragedies because they happened to others. If that had been your suffering, if the secrets you had kept buried away for so long had come out, you couldn't possibly have endured it. But you're a sharp one. I'm sure you intend to keep those secrets tucked away forever. Do you really think I'm going to let you do that, though? Whatever you try to hide, I'll make sure your beloved hears every last detail. Fight back! Fight back! Ah, how foolish can you be? Despite all my encouragement, you still insist on getting your old self back. What do you have to gain from that? Nothing but filthy, ugly tragedy awaits you down this path. Don't get your hopes up, my dear. There's nothing for you there. You have nothing. I'm offering you a place by my side. You should just take it. There's no salvation for you anywhere. None. At all, anywhere, from anyone, ever. Okay, so I guess we're Michael then? She's long since lost all grip on reality. And you think there's anything you can do for her now, despite having repeatedly failed to even regain yourself? We'll do it! Well, I suppose if you're going to be stubborn, as much as I don't want to, I have to place... Place what, huh? A curse on your soul. That's right. The white-haired girl was never at the mansion. Huh? What? What does that mean? No! There's still a story left untold. What? The fourth door was all a lie. What do you mean? It was not some sweet little tragedy. The story you told was pure fantasy. No, that was the truth. That was where it all began. Because of what happened then, you spent innumerable years lost until you showed up here and... What? You reach out, grasping for it. You pull yourself in. Your silhouette, which has been hazy until now, begins to take form. Your mind, your consciousness, your heart, your soul, and your body. Who are you? The veil in your mind dissipates. A crack forms in the shell encasing you, then another. The invisible shackles chaining your spirit fall to the floor. Reality fades in atop the indistinct, foggy world around you. Bony fingers appear before your eyes. Long hair. Your voice. No. My voice. My body. My fingers. Your arms are frail and my joints weak. Oh, my arms, fuck. But despite my resemblance to the white-haired girl, I am not her. This is who I am. I have finally reclaimed myself. You weren't waiting for the white-haired girl. You were waiting for me. And that's exactly why I came here. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. I've always waited for the white-haired. There was never a white-haired girl. There was only... I don't know who I am. I don't know what kind of voice. What is happening? This time I must say her name. She is Giselle. There was only you. I am Giselle. No, I am not Giselle. I am a servant of the house. And I am the witch. The cause. You are not a witch. The witch is someone else. Why do you insist that you're the witch? What changed you so much? What the fuck? The shadowy figure in the master bedroom. That was her. A glimpse into her past. I'm sure this is Giselle, but why is she so different? What happened to the spark she used to have? Where did the light she once shone upon the world go? I have to remember. I must remember. This cannot end until I have. This is no longer a story. No. What I need to face is my past. And her heart. She was not even present in the story she made up. Everything about it had been changed. The past I lived and the wounds she bore were more grounded in harsh reality, not wrapped in a film of fairy tale magic. That was the final tale, and it was all true. That's how it happened. It was a bittersweet story. No. How can you not see this? Yes, it was a beautiful tragedy, but was there even a scrap of humanity in it? Behind the 3 preceding doors, there had been a constant thread of ugliness and conflicting motivations. There was hardly a trace of that behind the 4th door. The characters felt like nothing more than characters. Is that what you want it to turn into? Is that what you want our history to become? Our history? But I don't remember anything at all. You don't remember anything? No, I don't want to. I don't need a past or a future. All I have left inside me is uncertainty. Giselle. No. That is not my name. Please stop trying to confuse me. I'm fine with things the way they are. If it means I don't have to hurt, that's all I want. So please, just let me keep being a maid. Let me keep being a guide, not some foolish girl. Is that what she honestly desires? Does she want to cast aside her past for good? If so, then... What the fuck? I thought this was gonna be some throwaway option. I didn't know this was gonna be like the actual fucking ending. Okay, hold up. We're gonna save. I won't force her, or not remembering isn't an option. Holy baloney, man. Not remembering isn't an option. You know what? We've gone this far. We're gonna fucking get some answers here. No matter what she says, I know I'm right. And if she doesn't reclaim her old self, I'll never get to hear her say my name again. I know I'm being selfish here, but I can't do that. If you're afraid of what you might become, we can remember together. I haven't gotten everything back yet myself. So let's open the real door. Together. There are no other doors to open. But there is. One that can only be opened by our hands because it exists between the 2 of us. Not a door with physical form, but the door to your heart. The door to... I grasp her unnaturally cold hand. A hand that, long ago, once had warmth. If she can't lead the way, then I have to. I must pick up the pieces of our erased history so we can both reclaim ourselves. Find the actual truth. No matter what we may uncover, I will not let go of this hand. No, I mustn't let go of it. What is happening? Darkness falls over the world around us. The floor upon which we had been standing flickers out of existence, sending us dropping into an endless abyss. This dark pit, this is her door, her history, her heart. Let's try this one more time. It's not a sweet story by any means. It's a story of betrayal, anger, hatred. We caused each other pain. But that's the road we traveled. And down that road lies all the answers. Reclaim yourself, take the first step toward uncovering the truth. The 4th door. Oh! The 5th door. What the fuck? $10.99. Okay. What the... I didn't expect this to fucking happen. I did not expect all this shit to happen, bro. Okay. Alright, here we go, man. Here we go. It had been several days since I left the capital, but I could still see it when I closed my eyes. The people lined up on the Grand Pont awaiting entry, eager to start a new life there, brimming with hope. It was a city where people were willing to pay high taxes to live in. If you were a performer, you could get some of those costs shaved down a bit by putting those skills to use. The capital was harsh on those who wanted in, and apathetic about all who left. It was composed of a powerful nobility and clergy, wealthy merchants and bankers, and a large population of poor. and it was a city I had called home for a long time. I didn't know much about where I was heading. Oh, this is her.
It's getting foggy. Looks like it might rain. Maybe we should take a little break. You want to keep going? Oh, alright then.
The coachman was frustratingly taciturn. He acted as though he'd gotten stuck transporting a prisoner, though that was hardly a stretch. From his point of view, I was nothing more than a criminal. Even the times he would acknowledge I had said anything, he made no effort to hide the scorn in his eyes, to pretend he didn't regret ever taking this job, and I would just fall silent again. The road was gradually getting narrower. We'd long since left the paved city roads behind and were now traveling along a couple of worn-down grooves in the forest. How did I end up here? Why was I being subjected to this? I was done thinking about it. The more I thought on it, the less fair it seemed. The more I remembered, the worse it hurt. All I could do was close my eyes and weather the storm. Deep within the woods, a mansion appeared before us like the world fading into view after a dream. It didn't seem to be an especially large house, but it had obviously been constructed with a great deal of care, and it was, thankfully, not standing in ruins.
This deep in the forest.
The carriage came to a stop, and the coachman climbed down, signaling with his chin for me to get out.
Thank you very much. You must be tired after such a long journey. This is the mansion I'm looking for, yes?
But the driver didn't even acknowledge me, getting back onto the carriage and setting off into the forest. He seemed to want to get as far away from here as quickly as possible.
He could have said something. Oh well.
That was about all I could say anyway. Oh well. I couldn't blame anyone for my being here, or for his wanting to get out.
I should get going, I guess.
Getting a better look at it, the house's windows were, strangely enough, all shuttered. It was probably dark as pitch inside.
Does no one live here? But if that's the case, then why was I
placed my hand on the front door.
Such a big door.
What if I couldn't get in? I had no idea what else there was in the area. If the door didn't open, then I would die out here in the forest. I'd come to accept much, but I wasn't ready to forfeit my life yet.
Please open. It's not locked, I guess.
The door was heavy, and though it seemed to protest my attempts to enter, it still opened much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. Looking in, I got the strangest impression that light was being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. Rather than going inside, it felt as though I was about to step outside the boundaries of this world. When I closed the door, it was so dark I couldn't even tell where I was walking.
I wonder if the window's open.
Though I managed to fumble my way over to a window, it was tightly shuttered, and the shutters caked with rust. I was probably not going to get it open without a fight.
Darn, not a hint of light.
I couldn't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It felt as though the floor would fall out from under me, and I would sink into an eternal darkness if I didn't watch my step. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walked forward, tracing the wall with my hand. There was a door at the end of a long corridor. I pulled it open, and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushed past me. It was too dark to see anything, but I could feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness gripped me.
Hello? Is anyone there? Please don't tell me it's actually abandoned. I suppose I can't know without looking around a bit more.
My voice simply disappeared into the void. No response. As I pushed forward through the freezing air, for a split second I spotted a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I was able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it wasn't shuttered.
What do we have here? Drapes? I see a little light beyond.
My chances were slim, I imagined, but if there was even a slight possibility of getting some light in here, it was worth a shot. So I pulled open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shone down on me. It was a stained glass window. From beyond the glass I could hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. It had finally started, it seemed. The different colors of light blended into a milky white, dim but wondrous.
It's so pretty. It looks like an angel? Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be...
Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. Suddenly I heard a voice. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to her inner monologue, being her voice.
Suddenly, I heard a voice, and I could sense someone else in the room. The man's voice was emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long, he came into view, illuminated by dull orange candlelight. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but, I did announce myself. The man stood there, practically blending in with the darkness. Had he been there the whole time? He was staring straight at me. His gaze wavered slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. Then again, I could hardly make out any detail at all under the light of a single candle. Is this, your mansion?
It is.
Thank goodness. I was afraid it was deserted.
I suspect you would have preferred it if the house were abandoned.
Oh, no, not at all. I would be scared to death staying in this dark mansion all by myself. I'm sorry. No ill will intended. But I do think it could do with some light. That way you could see where you are walking. And I'm sure this room would look splendid illuminated.
Not necessary. I make do perfectly well as things are.
How can you see when it's so dark?
I have an abundance of candles and oil for lamps. I'm not in want of a means of creating light. It is not your place to criticize my lifestyle. If you need light, you're free to leave. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. There's a village not far from here. Trade it for food, then make your way to a larger town.
I am no longer able to freely return to the city. I cannot go back there. Please, don't chase me out.
I see. And do you ask this of me aware of how people refer to this mansion?
They say that a witch lives here.
Not merely a witch. A cursed witch. If you remain here, you too shall likely suffer you too shall likely suffer your own destruction.
You're worried for my well-being. Which or not, my mind is made up. I was sent to this cursed witch's mansion to atone for my transgressions back in the city. It didn't matter what I lived here. I had no choice.
Oh, it didn't matter what lived here. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret or the curse?
You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale.
The witch is real. Very much so. It is not a legend nor a fairy tale. The witch.
The witch's name was Morgana.
Is me. Yes.
That was our first encounter.
Oh, I don't know who's speaking. It was nothing flowery or dramatic. It was, rather, laced with suspicion and wariness. We knew nothing about one another, and I had no interest in changing that. But nonetheless... Oh, I guess this is me. I have no idea. But nonetheless, that is where it all began. Where my history with her commenced. Okay, so that is me. Got it. Roger. Oh, we're seeing from his view. Oh, shit. The woman had jade eyes. Open wide, they glimmered like jewels in the light shining through the stained glass window. She seemed to be at a loss for words. I wasn't lying, per se. The rumors said a witch lived in this house, and I was the only one who filled that criteria. Thus, said rumors could be interpreted to be talking about me. After staring at me dumbfounded for a few moments, the woman suddenly burst into laughter.
Oh, wow! Here I was thinking you were kind of scary, and it turns out you're actually quite funny.
What?
I never would have guessed you were someone to tell such a ridiculous joke with a straight face.
I wasn't...
You don't look at all like a witch. I mean, it's dark and I can't really see, but you seem to me like a rather handsome man.
The word witch. The word witch has broader meaning than just a woman who practices magic. An unholy person with cursed powers, man or woman, can be considered a witch.
I think I get what you're trying to say, but my mental image of a witch is definitely more a woman. So you're not a witch? To tell you the truth, I didn't know who might be here, which had me rather scared. But I think I can make this work.
What do you...
It's a pleasure to meet you, Master.
Master?
I was sent here from your old home. I was an Abigail for your mother, but, well, I might have made a little goof.
I froze the moment the word left her mouth. Home. It rattled around in my skull, shaking up terrible memories that almost brought me to my knees. Why, after all these years, were they reaching out to me now? Me not even sending someone to bring me back, just sending someone. To what end? For what purpose had they shipped an Abigail out to this remote mansion? What was my mother thinking? Was this another one of her attempts to break my curse? What do you mean you made a little goof? My voice came out weak. I did my best not to let it show on my face.
It was a teeny tiny mistake. Nothing you need to concern yourself with.
What did Mother say about me?
Well, it was actually your father who told me to come here. I never really spoke to your mother much.
Father sent you? That made even less sense. Why would he have? Did Father even know I was here? No. If he had known, I would have been... Who was this woman? And what was her goal in asking to stay here?
Well, there you have it. I'll be here for a while.
Oh, what the hell?
If you need me for anything, do not hesitate to ask. I'm confident I can handle most everyday tasks. Now, where should I begin? Oh, I know. Are you hungry, Master? Food. I can't imagine you eat much being as skinny as you are.
I turned my back on her without responding. No matter what her goal was, she'd been sent here from that house. There's no way anything good could come from that. And there's no way I could live with someone who had ties to them. I prayed she would take the hint, give up, and leave.
Master!
And so I kept ignoring her.
Master! Master!
I ignored
Master!
her.
Master, what would you like for supper?
Nothing! But failed, spitting back and shouting. Her eyes went wide, and then she gave a sheepish giggle. I glared at her as she fidgeted uncomfortably.
Eating is one of the most basic human needs, so if you're hungry, you should really eat.
I said I didn't want... What was that sound?
Must you ask? It's not a very polite thing to ask a lady, you know.
Huh?
You know, it was a long trip, and all I had to eat on the road was dried fruit. I felt like I was some kind of animal. So, what I'm trying to say is that I'm I'm hungry.
It wasn't the sound of her stomach growling, was it? I thought lightning had struck in the distance.
And would like some supper.
The kitchen is at the far end of the hall on the first floor. There's food in the cellar. Help yourself to any of it.
Thank you so much. I honestly feel like I haven't eaten in days and I'm about to die of starvation. Oh, and I shouldn't need any help finding it. I plan on exploring the house anyway. It's rather exciting being in a new place.
Oh, damn it. That did not go as planned. Oh well, she can do as she pleases. I'll have nothing to do with it.
Oh, Master! Are you sure you don't...
No.
Master?
What is it now?
My name is Giselle. It's a pleasure to meet you. And your name, Oh, Master, you...
I actually left the room that time, making my way back to my chambers. At some point, I would seriously have to chase her out, especially considering she had come from that house. But regardless, I was not terribly fond of her. Interesting, we get to see it from his perspective. Okay, so the little roses are going to be our indicators of who's talking.
I didn't really understand, Michael, but that was probably because we were still essentially strangers. Having been sent to the mansion as reparation for my mistakes, I wasn't sure who I might have found there, but I was tentatively convinced that he wasn't a terrible person. He didn't do anything to me, except stay away. Michael spent most of his time in his chambers, which he told me not to ever enter under any circumstances, so we rarely encountered one another in the halls. For that reason, I made an effort to be kind and cheerful on the sporadic occasion we did cross paths. I figured if I kept that up long enough, he would eventually warm up to me. And as new housemates, being able to enjoy our time together was obviously preferable to the alternative. If I did manage to break the ice, I hope we'd be able to do some talking. About the mansion, about him, about me. I just had to keep working at it. Michael didn't need me to take care of him. He handled his own day-to-day needs and activities by himself, and in fact, he didn't ask me for anything. An aristocrat who had no use for a servant. I hadn't met anyone like him before. Alright then. And that meant about all I could do was clean. I wasn't sure how his room looked, but the rest of the house was, quite frankly, an absolute disaster. The dust was so heavy it was obvious it hadn't been touched in years. Let's get started. It couldn't be healthy to live in these conditions, so I set out to clean each room in the house one by one. And that said, it wasn't going to be an easy task. Not because I was bad at cleaning. In fact, I considered myself quite good at it, but because it was near impossible to find all the dust and grime that needed cleaning under the flickering light of a candle. I can't understand how anyone sane can live in this dark. What's wrong with him? Maybe he's actually a vampire. Oh god, wouldn't that be something? I can see it now. Him sneaking out every night to suck the blood of pretty girls. Priceless. Oh, that means I'm in trouble.
Let me take a sip of water.
Look at me, Mr. One-Woman Comedy Show here. Yep. If I am able to get him to warm up to me, though, maybe that'll give me a little more room to make some changes. Like opening some windows. No light and no fresh air? No thank you. Anyway, I set the candlestick down, pulled over a chair to stand on, and started wiping down the shelf. The chair's legs seemed to be uneven as it wobbled slightly beneath me. So many books. I wonder, do they all belong to him? I knew parchment was expensive, so it was rather astonishing seeing this many stacks of it in one place. There were even some books with bulky, extravagantly decorated covers. He does come from an esteemed family. I'd spent enough time at his family's home. It was a constant bustle of servants and guests, the exact opposite of what this mansion was like. Why had he left his home? What had he done to be sent all the way out here to this remote mansion with less than savory reputation? I need to be careful not to overstep my bounds. I am a servant now. A servant. But once the thought had crossed my mind, I couldn't get it out. I'd always had a bad tendency to chase my curiosities as soon as they struck, pushing to scratch the itch no matter how much my actions ignored others. I couldn't do that here, though. I was simply a servant, and if I got on Michael's bad side, I risked getting thrown out. I wonder what kind of books he's got in here. So I attempted to distract myself. I grabbed one of the books and attempted to pull it out. What? But the strings binding the parchment must have gotten tangled at the back. Oh, whoa! Because the books on either side tilted back with it. Ah! And then the entire row came crashing down on top of me. Oh, for cripe's sake! I'd fallen off the chair and a downpour of books was still coming down on me. A mountain of dust with it. Seriously?
What are you doing?
What? Suddenly, Michael was there, looking down at me from a little ways away. There was, as usual, not much I could read from his expression, but I could hear a vague trace of exasperation in his voice. I was doing some cleaning and...
Impressive work.
I'm usually better than this. It's just so dark, mistakes should be expected. I really think we should open some windows, Master. Get some light, some air flowing through here.
I never asked you to clean anything. You did this entirely yourself.
But there's so much dust. It can't be good for you.
I'm perfectly healthy. I don't see the problem.
Had he even seen himself? No way someone that skinny was perfectly healthy.
You look like you have something to say.
He can make out my face in this darkness? Oh, you know, I want it to be useful, and cleaning is about all I can do here, so, you know.
I was sensing something else, but alright.
He let out a sigh, stepped over toward the pile of books, and then reached his hand down for me. I suddenly felt a pang of embarrassment about the fact that I was still splayed out on the floor, but I raised my hand up to take his, only for him to pick up a book instead. You could at least help me up.
You have legs,
he said, casually returning the book to the top shelf. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he was a terrible person.
Are we switching back to Michael now? Yep.
A nice little back and forth.
Ugh.
So, Master, are all these books yours?
Giselle asked. Not a trace of remorse visible on her face, despite having made a mess of the room she was supposedly trying to clean. I gave a curt nod.
Really? That's impressive. Must have been hard work getting them all in here, huh? There's gotta be 100 books here. You could fill a whole carriage at least. It's like you've got your own personal library.
She'd been pouting only a few minutes earlier, but her smile was back in short order. Her jade eyes were like little balls of curiosity, glittering in the faint candlelight. I was not particularly fond of overly expressive, rather, overly curious women. Did they not care that they trampled uninvited into other people's personal spaces? Or were they not even aware that their actions were invasive? I averted my gaze from hers. I receive one roughly every month.
Ah, I see. Wait.
She turned back toward the shelves. I presume she understood the implications of what I had just said. Of the fact that there were nearly 100 tombs here, and I received only one a month.
Huh?
Giselle fell silent. I couldn't blame her, as if she thought my circumstances, or my family, or my life was bizarre. But I didn't care what she thought of me. In fact, it was to my advantage for her to feel uncomfortable. I just needed her to stay quiet and keep her nose out of my business. There's more than I thought. I said to her. I said not to her, but to myself. I had no reason to count the passage of time anymore. Only the book served as a record of how long I had been here.
121!
What?
There are 121 books! 10 years in 1 month!
You were counting? I thought she had just sheepishly gone quiet. What an inscrutable woman.
You've been here in the mansion for that long, all by yourself.
The truth was, there had been times when I wasn't alone, but Giselle had not needed to know that. You already know the answer. A look of pity formed in Giselle's eyes. Enough. I never asked for her sympathy. I'm here by choice.
You mean you weren't banished here?
No restraint, this woman. No. I came here of my own volition. I didn't care enough to elaborate, though. Picking another book off the floor, I brushed the dust off its cover. It was a gaudily decorated tomb.
That's a very fancy book, isn't it?
But apparently Giselle was unable to take a hint.
What's it about?
I let out a sigh and opened to no page in particular, sticking the book out toward her. She was a servant, and a woman. There's no way she could read.
Let's see here. This land is hardly suitable for cultivation. It can only produce over sour grapes. I would probably get more out of it if I tore down the fields and made it into a market. Sounds like a lord's diary.
You can read? I was caught slightly off guard. It was rare for a noblewoman to be able to read and write, let alone a servant. Was she truly what she claimed to be?
I had someone teach me. So, is this book any interesting?
It's dull, worthless tripe. I can't imagine why anyone thought it was worth binding.
Tough crowd. But it's not very often you get to see a lord's diary. I'm rather curious what kinds of things he griped about.
Lord or king, what value was there in another's grumbling? There's no knowledge contained within that book. Just emotions. Unsightly emotions. What did it say? Unsightly scribbles. And there's nothing more exhausting in this world than being emotional. If you want to read it, be my guest.
That wasn't my intention, but alright. Once I've got the whole mansion cleaned, I'll read it.
Oops. I told you, you don't have to clean.
Oh, I've got an idea, Master. If you're interested, maybe we could read it together.
Did you hear a word I just said? It's dull, worthless tripe.
Still, you might see it differently if you read it with someone else. And I'm sure there are some books here you would enjoy, Master.
You're wasting your time. So you can kind of see the little differences in these different interactions. You know, the fact that she hasn't been like run out of the village, and she's not being accused of being a witch, and she's not this, you know, timid little girl who's begging to stay there. You know, she's quite the opposite. She seems to be very outgoing, almost impulsive, kind of non-caring, I guess. And you know, again, the interaction in the library, that was something where it's like, oh, you know, oh, can you please teach me to read? But obviously, in reality, she actually knew how to read. She knows how to read and count and all that fun stuff. So it's interesting, very interesting. And obviously from not only this line that's right in front of us, but also from the previous context clues that we gathered, it does seem like it's less of like a romance, I guess, and more of kind of just like untrust. So it's kind of funny because it seems like there's less mystery surrounding Michael now and more mystery surrounding Giselle. The suspicion and restraint budding between us was trite and insignificant at that point. She was still smiling after all. If I'd been able to maintain that distance, then perhaps I wouldn't have ended up hurting her.
It had been a little under 2 weeks since I moved in with Michael. Though we lived in the same house, we rarely saw each other. On unlucky days, I wouldn't see him at all. I wasn't sure if he ate in his room or our schedules were simply misaligned, but we never had any meals together. Perhaps he was deliberately avoiding me. That has to be it. I know servant and master don't usually eat at the same table, but even so, he could be a little less obvious about it. Am I really that much of a nuisance? I'm not doing anything inappropriate, am I? I'm being pleasant and sociable, aren't I? I haven't given him any reason to not like me, I think. I hope. He'd never been very enthusiastic about my staying here, but I haven't been given a choice. I had been sent here by his family. Besides... No. Out with the negative thoughts. Gotta stay positive. Yeah, he hasn't tried to chase me out yet. I just haven't broken the ice. I had to stay positive, optimistic, happy thoughts, and be myself. As long as I kept working at it, with enough time, Michael would surely come around and not be so distant. I've got a goal, so let's get to work. First I make supper, then I ask him to have it with me. Gotta be proactive when it comes to the reclusive types. Alright, here goes. Or here would go. But we're almost out of supplies. Well, so much for that. The cellar was where the non-perishable food was stored. Dried foods, smoked meats, cheeses, and a small scattering of root vegetables. And looking at this makes me feel like a soldier holding down a castle's fortifications. Had Michael really gone 10 years on nothing but this? I would have raised the white flag not long ago.
I would have raised the flag long ago. Fuck.
He hadn't left the mansion at all in those 10 years. I assume he at least goes out to get supplies, right? Running out of food is kind of a life or death matter. I can't imagine he hasn't set foot outside even once, and...
What are you babbling about?
Wah! Oh no, he overheard me.
I assumed you were talking to someone.
Huh? Does anyone else live here, Master? I haven't seen anyone.
It's just the two of us. Alive, anyway.
You mean there are ghosts?
Something of the sort.
There you go again with the jokes. I'm not a child. You're not gonna trick me like that.
There are adults who believe in such things.
I suppose. But I don't really believe in ghosts or demons or curses or any of that. The church just tries to convince people they're real so they can squeeze more money out of them.
Am I going to have to turn you over to the church, you blasphemer?
No. I pray every day, honest.
I don't particularly care either way. I'm returning to my chambers.
What? Already? You didn't, come down for food?
I only came down because I heard voices.
A moment. Please wait just a second.
What?
Our stores are almost empty. What do you normally do when you need more food? I'll happily accompany you on a trip to the market.
Already? That was fast.
There are two of us. I really don't eat that much, do I? In the dim light, it was difficult to make out Michael's expression, but I thought I could see a tinge of annoyance on his face. Hold your ground, Giselle. You said you wanted to get closer to him. Ah, is that a parsnip? Michael was holding a tangled ball of roots. The reason I asked was because the parsnip looked like it was on the verge of total decomposition.
See? There's still food.
He then handed it to me.
Excuse me.
Wait, you want to eat that? It's clearly seen better days. You're gonna get sick. Or are you telling me you can survive on rotten vegetables?
Of course I won't eat it. I just figured you were hardy enough to survive.
What do you think I am? No, he definitely is a jerk.
Or rather, the resulting diarrhea might reduce your appetite.
You're kidding, right? You can't be serious. Anyway, we should bury that outside. Then we can go purchase fresh supplies.
I told you I don't go outside.
Then how do you... Huh? A visitor? Who could it be?
Perfect timing. You're a servant. Make yourself useful and go retrieve the package. If it's not a delivery but a wanderer, chase them off.
What? Package? Master? Hold on a sec. What are you talking about? He's gone. What kind of delivery is he expecting? Michael stood there, unmoving, veiled in shadow. He glanced over at me, then threw his gaze at the front door. At his command, I raised the bar, pulling open the door. After nearly 2 weeks inside, the light from the setting sun almost blinded me. The world went white, my head pounding. After a few moments of intense blinking, my eyes acclimated themselves to the evening sunlight. There was no one outside, only a crate easily large enough to fit a child. Is this the package? Master? I turned back to face Michael, but he wouldn't meet my eyes, though it seemed more like he was avoiding looking at the light rather than me. He's starting to seem more and more like a vampire. Not that I believe in vampires, of course. Regardless, I pray there's nothing bad in here. That's heavy. But, Master, can I get some help? Gee, thanks. I am a servant, admittedly, but this is a lot to ask of just one girl. A little help sure would be nice.
Once it's inside, close and bar the door.
He said dispassionately, his head still turned toward the darkness. As you wish, Master.
Oh.
Once the door was shut, I found myself sucked back into a world of darkness. It hadn't even been 2 weeks, but the lack of light was beginning to become my normal. The outside world growing farther and farther away. Being holed up in here is definitely not good for me. I should go for a walk sometime. Maybe plant some flowers or vegetables. Yeah, I like that idea. Maybe I can grow that old tangle of roots into some fresh parsnip. What else do we have to plant? It'd be great if there were some leftover flower seeds.
What are you doing? Open the box, now.
As you wish, Master. Oh, there's food inside? In the box was a burlap sack filled with berries, root vegetables, and smoked meats, as well as an assortment of bread, fruits, and wine. Aside from the fruit and bread, everything else was the same as what Michael kept in the cellar. Ah! And buried beneath the burlap sack was a single book. 1 book a month. He really hasn't gone outside in 10 years.
It appears you've begun to grasp the situation.
Yeah. But why? This was delivered by someone from your house, Master, wasn't it?
A servant, I assume.
Why would they leave without saying anything?
No one wants to talk to a cursed man. In the past, they would occasionally check in on me, but that hasn't happened recently.
They think you're cursed?
Ah, right. You don't believe in curses. Then come up with your own explanation. An excuse for them to want to stay away from me. That, for example, I killed someone. Or maybe that I'm insane.
I couldn't...
Regardless, I'm not normal.
I'm not like the other boys.
Bring that food down to the cellar. The books at the library. You are, of course, free to use and run off back to the woods.
I'll do it.
All right. Then you take care of that.
Hey.
What is it?
I just noticed there's something else in here. It's wrapped in cloth. What could it be? Oh, a painting. For you to hang up somewhere in the house, I presume? It's so dark I can't see it very well, but I'm sure it's...
Don't touch that!
What? Michael, who had kept his distance from me until that point, suddenly marched over and ripped the painting from my grasp. Master! His face was twisted into a look I'd never seen him make before. Was it indignation, disgust, hatred, panic? I couldn't tell, but there was more than enough negative pressure to cause me to flinch back. Is that painting, perhaps, something important?
A landscape painting.
He muttered beneath his breath, the tension melting away from his face. I was left looking at his usual blank, impenetrable expression, but his eyes were still fixated on the picture, staring at it unblinkingly.
Why a landscape painting? Some kind of passive-aggressive message. It's not anywhere nearby. Did they travel somewhere? Well, it's not of that girl, so that's an improvement.
Master.
Oh, you're still here.
Still here? Of course I'm still here. Who do you think you asked to take care of the package? What's with you? Just running over and snatching the painting from me. You scared me. Could you maybe explain yourself? What's so special about that painting?
I don't believe that's any of your business.
None of my... Of course it is! You ripped it out of my hands like I was some kind of thief. I have a right to know what that was all about, and maybe an apology while you're at it. You told me to open the box, so I did. Then all of a sudden you're angry.
We are not equals. Do not mistake yourself for my friend. You have a right to know. You have no such thing.
You don't have to be rude.
I'll say it again. Leave if you don't like it here. I never asked for you to be here. That was your wish.
My wish? Are you out of your mind? I never asked for this. I never wished for it. Who in the right mind would want to be sent to some house in the middle of nowhere? Who would ever want to go through that? No. Calm down, Giselle. You can't get angry. You're right. This is what I wanted. But I never wanted you to get mad or for us to argue like this. I just wanted to get to know you better, to get closer to you. I mean, it would make things smoother for the both of us. It would make living together more enjoyable for us.
Listen carefully. This is very important for you to understand. Do not try to involve yourself with me. Do not go probing around for information. And if you can't do that, leave.
I completely shut out. The glare he was giving me and the standoffish aura he was emanating were reflected with his tone and voice. Why? Why did he try and push me away like that?
It seemed Giselle really didn't know much about me. Despite being sent here from my house, she was unaware of the monthly deliveries, as well as the reason why I lived in the mansion all by myself. Why, though, would they have not told her anything? Why had she been sent here left completely in the dark? Giselle looked up at me, fear and bewilderment in her eyes, though I thought I could see a glint of suspicion beneath it all. Like her true feelings were bubbling to the surface. Everyone had darkness in them they kept hidden. No one was exactly who they appeared to be. She was undoubtedly thinking, I'm not here because I want to be. I knew from the moment that I first saw her that her bubbly, sweet effect was all a facade. Had she thought I was dense enough to not realize? She's no different than anyone else. What I didn't understand, though, was why she refused to leave no matter how hard I pushed. What was she hiding beneath that innocent-looking face? What was she thinking? What did she carry on her shoulders? Everyone is hiding something, deceiving those around them. I had to figure out what she really was. May I ask you something?
Yes?
On the day you arrived, you said you made a teeny tiny mistake while working at my family's house. Tell me about that. What did you do at the Bollinger estate? In that moment, brief though it was, her disposition wavered. Fear? Terror? No, perhaps anger. I couldn't tell. Nevertheless, it was abundantly clear that that was a subject she had no interest in me breaching, and so she had borne her fangs. The smile she donned was now visibly forced.
It's nothing you need to concern yourself with, Master. I promise it was an insignificant little thing.
She couldn't say. Why couldn't she tell me? What had she done there? What did this woman know about that house? What did she know about me? What was concealed beneath that smile of hers? I'm the master of this house, and you are a servant. And still you refuse to tell me.
Like I said, it's nothing. There's no reason to bother you. With the mere servant's personal blunders, Master.
What are you hiding?
I'm not hiding anything.
Then you should be able to tell me exactly what you did at the Bollinger estate.
Like I said...
Tell me. Tell me.
You won't tell me anything about yourself, and yet you demand others tell you about themselves. Here you are, practically threatening me. Demanding I tell you something I don't want to talk about. And yet you still haven't told me anything about the painting.
Oh, so I was right. You do have something to hide.
How many times...
Oh, shit. How many times must I repeat myself? We are not equals. I don't care if it's insignificant or something you don't want to talk about.
What?
I'm ordering you to tell me. A trifling blunder would not get someone sent to live with a cursed man in a house spoken of so unfavorably. Whatever she'd done at the Bollinger estate, that had something to do with why she was here. If she truly hadn't done anything, then she had something to gain from this place, or possibly from me. And if that was the case, I had to get her to talk.
Don't make me.
Giselle's eyes were open wide. I recognized the look she was giving me. I knew very well what that gaze meant.
You're an abomination!
It was the same as them. Fear, contempt, revulsion, repulsion. The way she acted, the way she spoke, it was exactly the same. You're no different. I made her uncomfortable. I made her afraid. She thought I was unpleasant. She thought I was despicable. She thought I was an abomination. In a frenzy, I grabbed her by the shoulders, clamping down far more powerfully than I had meant to.
Ow! Stop!
Her face, contorted in pain, morphed into someone else's. Who was I directing my anger at? Where was this rage being aimed? Who are you calling an abomination?
What?
Tell me! Who? The black furor bubbling up from within me knew no end. The girl, she ridiculed me. She denied my identity with her glare. I couldn't escape from that phantom, that reality.
What are you? I never called you out. No, get away from me! Get your hands off me!
Giselle's scream echoed in the entrance hall, rattling my eardrums. She frantically smacked my arms aside, and then I came back to my senses. She was standing a little ways away, breathing heavily, arms wrapped tight around her body, glowering at me, showing her opposition to my touching her. Enlightening.
No. You startled me. That's all.
Some servant you are, telling your master not to touch you.
Oh, right. I have, I'm allergic to people. It's a very unique condition, I hear. I mean, can you believe that? See, you know how some people get all red and itchy when they touch a dog or cat? It's that, except for people, So, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I beg your forgiveness.
Why don't you speak your mind?
What?
This is what's going through your mind right now. I have nothing to apologize for.
No, that's not...
I can somewhat empathize with your plight, being made to apologize even though you're hurting. I raised my hand against you first, after all.
Then you... You forgive me.
Sympathy does not equate to forgiveness. Now, you take care of the package. I'm heading back to my chambers. What is it?
You're not going to make me leave after what I just did?
No, I'm not. For it would seem I can make you leave on your own whenever I so please. Besides, I had yet to learn what she'd done. It would be exceedingly difficult to get the story from her own mouth, which left me with one option: to write a letter to my mother, as much as the very thought revolted me. Okay, so now we're getting to some serious deviations from the story.
Several days had passed since the package arrived. The end of my 3rd week living in the mansion was drawing near. Micah wasn't getting any friendlier either. He continued to either snub or bluntly dismiss me whenever we crossed paths. I didn't understand why he acted that way around me, but there was little point in asking when he seemed to think there was little point in talking to me at all. Although at first I'd been sure there was some way to get him to warm up to me, the more time I spent in the mansion, the more my willpower began to feel that it was at its breaking point. I could tell myself to stay positive until I was blue in the face, but it would only work for so long. The one pretty place in the whole house. I'm glad he hasn't covered it back up. Blue moonlight shone quietly through the stained glass window, vainly illuminating some of the room. I hadn't noticed until now, but the room with the stained glass window appeared to be modeled after a chapel. Rows of pews faced the window, below which sat what used to be a pulpit. There was very little left of it, though, and an awkward length of silver was mounted to the pulpit's front face. What was, I assumed, formerly a cross. Upon further inspection, rather than facing the window, the pews seemed to be pointed at the pulpit, or perhaps the cross hanging on it. I wasn't sure why there would be a chapel in a mansion, but I had no one to ask about it. For a house of this size, a statue of Christ or the Virgin Mary seems more appropriate. It's a very well-made chapel at any rate. I doubted Michael had it built for himself. There would be no reason for him to cover the window if that were the case. Nor had I ever seen him come to pray. He doesn't seem like one to believe in God. I'm not even sure if God really existed, then surely the world would be a much more pleasant, peaceful place. No unfair disparities in money or power. No senseless misfortune. I certainly wouldn't have found myself here either. But God was evidently quite fond of giving mankind trials, so he would probably tell me with a straight face that this was one too. Or perhaps we simply had a false impression of him, and he didn't actually give us anything. He merely sat back and watched from somewhere far, far away. It wasn't his job to bring peace to the world or ensure our laws were fair. That was all mankind's responsibility. What is God? What are angels? I have no idea. Maybe the Bible has answers. Why should I pray to someone so far away? How do I know my prayer is even getting there? But still, it's not like I have any other options. Don't you worry. If it all works out, I'll promise. It'll all work out, promise. I already know where I'm going to work. It's a really prominent noble house, way out of reach of some small-time merchants like us. You never know, this could be my big break. Oh, I'm just kidding. Don't look so worried. I'll be just fine, honestly. I'll make enough money for us to get back onto our feet. Oh, for goodness sake, I can handle it. Leave everything to me. You just wait. I'll make our family into something you can be proud of. I'll be fine. Yeah, say bye to Mom for me. I probably won't be home for a while. What? You're afraid I'm gonna make some careless mistake? I'm not that airheaded. I can be a refined and elegant young lady. Those nobles won't even know what to believe anymore. If you don't believe me, how about I give you a little taste? Ahem. How are you doing this fine morning, master? Your morning beverage is ready, prepared with the utmost of care. See, how about that? Not bad, huh? What? You really think it sounded forced? I was the daughter of a merchant who ran a shop on the capital's main street. My father had passed away in a plague, so it was just me, my mother, and my older sister. It would be a lie to say business was doing well. We struggled to squeak by day after taxes. But we couldn't just abandon the shop and leave the capital either, so we tried to make the best of what we were able to take in between the three of us. Then, my sister fell in love with a moderately well-off aristocrat. My mom and I were supportive of her in her desire to marry, but their union almost fell apart because she was not suitable for him. Merchants were hardly the lowest class. What we lacked instead was wealth. We needed another source of money, beyond what the shop took in. If only we had money, my sister could get married. If only we had money, my mom wouldn't have to work so hard. If only we had money. It was then that someone from the distinguished Bollinger estate approached me. He said they were in need of Abigails and would love to have me. He said that if I agreed to work for them, the Bollinger estate would take care of my family. Generally speaking, noble houses took Abigails from other, lower-ranked noble houses. It was unthinkable for someone of my status to receive such an offer. So I took it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance and accepted the offer.
I think I kind of already have a notion of what may have happened. I'm gonna keep it to myself right now, though. I don't want to jump to conclusions. But I do have a bit of a theory, and I think I would imagine most of you guys also are kind of catching on to what she's kind of hinting at here.
I just pray that nothing bad happens to my sister, and that Mom is getting enough money to live comfortably. That's all I can do. They're nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some. The light shining through the stained glass window began to grow murky, fading into blackness. It felt like a message from on high, that no, my prayers would not be answered. The bluish-white illumination shining down upon me disappeared as clouds blocked the moon. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a silly woman like me? Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this. They're nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a sullied woman like me. Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this.
Giselle was sitting at one of the pews in the room with a stained glass window. Just looking at her, you might have thought she was offering a prayer, but the words coming from her mouth were anything but prayerful. They were filled with resentment. They have plenty of money, a sullied woman. And then, I never asked to end up like this. So this is what's beneath that facade. Most likely, money's what she's after. All I need to do now is confirm my suspicions with them. Just what awful secrets will I uncover? I gave Giselle, sitting in the pew with her head drooped, a cursory glance before leaving the chapel. I had somewhere else to be. Yeah, so he's obviously very suspicious. The bitterly cold outside air felt like the dozens of needles flowing into my lungs. It had been so long since I had stepped beyond the mansion's walls. A thick mist canopied the night sky, blocking out the moonlight. Naturally, the heavens did not rejoice at my leaving the house. It had been 10 years since I had seen the mansion from the outside, and it hadn't changed one bit. A gloomy scar upon the earth, shrouded in darkness. Hardly the kind of place someone would enthusiastically approach. Nevertheless, it was better than that house. Oh, we're venturing off. Yes? Who is it? Michael.
What? Michael Bollinger? Just one moment. I'll be right there. Come in. It's a humble abode, but make yourself at home.
New character? Excuse me. Wow, I must say this is rather unexpected. Just one word and I would have been up there in a heartbeat. And how was I supposed to do that? I am regrettably fresh out of carrier pigeons. Right, yeah. My apologies. This man, living in a small cottage not far from the mansion, had been hired by the Bollinger family. His job, to watch over me. That said, we never actually interacted. He was tasked with keeping track of whether I was still alive and whether I remained in the mansion. The monthly package from my family was delivered to him, which he then passed on to me. It was insipidly convoluted, but it was indicative of how much they wanted to avoid anyone learning about me. Well then, what can I do for you? The manservant was visibly rattled. Afraid, too. But not because of the difference in our social ranks. I had a pretty good idea of what he had been told about me. He was afraid of me. Or, more specifically, my curse. People fear that which they cannot comprehend. Not just children, adults as well. They fear demons, witches, and curses, anything impure or not of this world. But I had long since gotten used to being viewed as such. It didn't sadden me. It didn't disappoint me. It didn't pain me. Some things were too foolish to concern yourself over. Though it certainly doesn't make me feel good either. I was on some level annoyed. That woman's appearance at the mansion had created ripples in my once tranquil life. So before I got into the real reason for my visit, I decided to take out a bit of my frustration. Raise your head. There's no need to be afraid. I don't know what you've been told, but I promise I won't bite. How rude of me. You're right, my sincerest apologies. Your job is to watch over me. If the mere sight of me has you trembling, what will you do if I try to run? I would have little trouble escaping. That would be quite unfortunate. What would I ever tell your mother? I'm not sure that would end well at all. You could lose everything you've been paid so far. In fact, you might be lucky to get out with your life. Surely your mother would not... You are aware of who you're dealing with, right? Michael, the cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family, who made a pact with the devil. I don't need a blade to take your life. You wouldn't even make it back to report anything. Have mercy, Lord Michael. Please do not leave the mansion. Please spare me. Jesus, Michael's kind of a fucking... Jesus! Why is the real Michael not this stoic, mysterious, but secretly, soft and gentle guy? Why is he, just genuinely an asshole? Only joking. I don't have the power to kill by way of curse. The man fell silent, but the look on his face said, "You are cursed, though, aren't you?" Once someone's got an idea planted in their head, it's nigh impossible to get rid of it. I am so cursed that anyone can see it, that I need to be locked away in a dark mansion. I'm here because I had a question for you, not to warn you that I plan to run away. A question? For me? Yes. Approximately 3 weeks ago, a black-haired woman came to the mansion. Tell me what you know about her. I was told there'd be an Abigail coming, but that's all. I don't know anything else about her. I swear that's all I know. I haven't been told anything else. I believe you. I never thought they would tell you anything. Right. He'd been hired to observe me, but that's all he was. A hired hand. He wouldn't be privy to the Bollinger family's internal affairs. Take this. A letter? I need you to deliver it to my mother. You could have just left it in the box from this month's package and I would have collected it when I dropped off the next one. I'm in urgent need of information. Will you do this for me? Yes. Why, yes, absolutely. I'll fetch a delivery boy tomorrow morning. Much appreciated. Good night. You too. Do take care. Lord Michael. Yes? Is it true that you don't have... Would you like me to sew your mouth shut so you can never open it again? Not at all. My sincerely apologies, Lord Michael. That was horribly disrespectful. Good night. Cursed, I most certainly am. Don't have what? What doesn't he have? My mother's response arrived just 10 days later. The delivery boy must have pushed his horse quite hard. It was almost exactly a month after Giselle had moved in. Alright, well, I'm excited now. And shortly thereafter, on a bone-chilling night, everything came crashing down. The rift between us grew deeper, and the wall between us impossibly high. When I lay bare the scars in her chest, and mercilessly plunged my knife into them. Oh God, what did you do, Michael? Michael, what did you do, bro? God, Michael is a cynical piece of shit, isn't he? Good Lord.
How did we get to this point? Ugh, I hate everything. My spirits were getting darker and darker, like they were slowly sinking into a deep morass. I'd been at the mansion for a month, and every day since felt twice as long as it should have. I'd been optimistic at first. I'd even had a little hope that me and Michael could get along together. But it hadn't taken long for that hope to be shattered, and the cheer locked away inside me. We lived in the same house, but we never spoke anymore. On the few occasions we did cross paths, he just gave me a cold glare, nothing more. Scorn and suspicion in his eyes. Whenever he looked at me like that, it felt as if my throat were being constricted, like I was deep underwater and running out of air, like my very presence in the world was a crime. I never could have imagined just how agonizing constant rejection was. I started despising others, despising myself, despising the world. Convinced there was no one who could set me free. I considered running away from everything, rather than live like this another day. But I would have done so long ago if that were actually an option. If they found out I had fled, that I had acted outside their wishes, my mother and sister would pay. I had succeeded in allowing my sister to get married and my mom to live comfortably. I'd given them happiness. I couldn't take that away from them again. Not after what I had gone through to do it. No, cut that out. Getting way too depressing, Giselle. Pull yourself together. That's not who you are. Be positive. The negativity didn't only come from my interactions with Michael either. No, there seemed to be some kind of terrible presence within the mansion that twisted people's hearts. The mansion was, in fact, a bit of a local legend, which I had been informed about before being sent here. People claimed it was cursed, and that an evil witch had lived in it for many, many years. Michael joked that he was the witch, but I didn't believe him. I'm not usually one to believe in magic or curses at all, but being here so long, I can't help but wonder. Anyway, things can't go on like this. If I was to remain in this house, the situation needed to improve. A lot. I was going to lose my mind if things kept up the way they were. I was ready to give up once, but I'm going to try to close the distance between us again. If I could get him to open up even the tiniest bit, then maybe that would make living here a little easier. I wasn't going to try to make us best friends or anything. Just repair our relationship enough that being around each other wasn't torturous. I've got my work cut out for me. How do I even begin that conversation? Heck, what is that conversation even going to be about? Maybe I should hold off. Do it another day. No. I've made up my mind to do this, so I should get to it quickly. The longer I wait, the worse things are going to get. And eventually, there won't be any fixing anything. We need to talk. We need to be in the same room for more than 10 seconds, and we need to get to know each other. He needs to know that he is not the reason I have something to hide. Okay, let's do this.
Okay, so before we get into this, because this is obviously getting to our climax here, I'm just going to assume that this is going to be the scene that we keep seeing be replayed in front of us. The scene where she's in his chambers, she opens up the curtains, and is like, oh yeah, we're going to be living here for a while. And clearly that is not going to end well. So yeah. That's... let's just see what happens. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
I made my way to Michael's chambers, which he told me to stay away from. My stride was slow and ponderous, but at the very least I did my best to keep some semblance of a smile on my face. This is one time where I'd really like to have someone to give me a little nudge. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Pardon, Master. There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Master? I guess he's not here. The door wasn't locked. As was the rest of the house, his room was shrouded in darkness. The only light came from my candle in my hand. Master, are you there, Master? I guess I missed him. It's probably best if I don't stick around for too long. He's already got a less than stellar impression of me. I don't want to imagine what'll happen if he thinks I've been snooping around through his room. Yeah, I should get out of here. I spun around on my heels, taking a step toward the door, when I caught sight of an object draped in a black sheet. I knew I had to get out of there as quickly as possible, but I was intrigued by that object. Something he kept hidden in a room I was forbidden to enter. Maybe it was a clue to discovering Michael's secrets. I reached my hand toward the object, knowing good and well I shouldn't. Was it because I wanted to learn more about him? Was it because I wanted to tear down the veil he hid behind? Or was it the whispers of the witch? What do we have here? I pulled off the sheet, revealing a framed painting of what appeared to be a noblewoman with porcelain white skin. What stood out about her, though, was her hair was as pale as her skin. And then... What? I noticed something else. Wide gashes ravaged the canvas, damaging her face beyond repair. What the... I imagined it had once been a painting of a beautiful woman, but there was hardly a trace of that left.
The white-haired girl. The white-haired girl! Oh my god, dude. So many fucking, so many pieces of the puzzle are just flying around in my head, and I have no idea how to put these things together. I thought we had a tangible storyline going, but this just completely threw everything off.
The only feeling it inspired it anymore was the deep chill. This damage was not accidental. It was quite deliberate, and the contempt emanating from within the frame was stifling. Thick, suffocating blackness seeped into me. Why would anyone... She was surely a most beautiful woman. Angelic, even. A storm of questions assaulted me. Who was she? Why had her face been carved up? Why had the painting been covered? What had happened? Who could have... There's only one person who could have done this. Michael, why on earth?
You saw it, didn't you? Oh, fuck. Oh, no! No! You saw the painting, didn't you? You entered my room without permission, and you saw the painting, didn't you? Angelic, you say? There's nothing angelic about that damned woman.
I scrambled to make some excuse, but nothing would come out of my mouth. All I could do was tremble.
Oh, shit! Why did you enter my chambers?
Mike...
What were you looking for? Answer me.
My mouth wouldn't move properly. I couldn't make my voice come out. It was like I wasn't even in my own body anymore. The whispers of air that were drawn into my lungs were expelled as hoarse gasps. My breaths were shallow and rapid. I was inhaling, but I wasn't getting any air. I was terrified. Terrified. Terrified, terrified, terrified. Of his eyes, of his voice, of his feelings, of the knife he was holding up to me. Of the terrible past I was chained to. Of the man's voice. The man's very flesh. Terrified me.
What were you trying to find? And what were you planning to do with it? Answer me.
Uh,
Another thing you refuse to tell me then.
no, I'm trying. Nothing's coming out of my mouth, though. Everything's so bright. I can't catch my breath. I can't breathe.
That's fine, though. You don't have to tell me. I have a pretty good idea.
An idea? What do you mean?
Money's what brought you to the Bollinger estate, and it's what brought you to me, too. There are countless people who would love to see that house fall, and a noble family fears nothing more than disrepute. You were, I presume, approached by someone scheming the Bollinger's downfall.
No.
And as it just so happens, the Bollingers have a very famous secret, one they're quite desperate to keep under wraps. Me. Someone suspected I might be alive, so they sent you to dig up information about me. My very existence threatens to tear down that house. The cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family, Michael, who made a pact with the devil, who's supposed to be dead but is very much alive. You sweet-talked your way into that house and into information about me and my present situation, and you meant to trade that information for money. I bet whoever it was put quite a handsome price on it too. Or maybe the one plotting to ruin the Bollinger family is you.
No, that's not true.
Then enlighten me.
Please, hear me out. I didn't know anything about you. I wasn't sniffing around or trying to bring you harm in any way.
Then tell me, if that's not the reason you wormed your way into the Bollinger estate, and that's not what you're doing here, then tell me what it is.
I...
Tell me why you came to this mansion.
You want me to tell you about that? No way, that's asking way too much.
Tell me.
I swear I haven't done anything to wrong you. I simply wanted to make our life together a little more comfortable. To bring some warmth to this frigid relationship we have. That's the only reason I wanted to find out more about you.
I must assume I'm right then, Giselle.
I must tell him he's wrong. I must tell him I meant no harm. But I can't say anything.
A merchant's daughter became an Abigail at a noble's house. Could you come up with a more obvious lie?
Your father's the one who... Wait, how does he know that I'm from a merchant family?
You look perplexed. I may be imprisoned in this house, not free to move about as I please, but I have my ways. I know everything.
Everything? And he knows about that too?
Oh yes, I do know.
Please, don't.
In your quest for money.
Don't say it.
You slept with my father. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Yep. I mean, what other purpose would a wealthy nobleman have to reach out to a young, female merchant and be like, oh yeah, I'll provide for I'll back your sister, I'll provide for your mom, just come work for me. And specifically the father as well. And then again, the father is the one who sent her over here, not even the mother.
In that moment, Michael plunged his knife into my heart. He carved through my chest with those words, causing me to completely lose control of myself. In a panicked frenzy, and probably screaming all the way, I knocked the man aside, and ran and ran and ran. I could hear a clap of thunder in the distance. Oh, how I wished the bolt of lightning would come crashing down upon me. Maybe if God burned my tainted flesh with a divine thunderbolt, it would get rid of some of the filth. But the jagged streaks of light cascading across the dark clouds did not strike me, only create restless grumbles in the sky. Why? I knew that if I fled the mansion, I would likely be causing trouble for my mom and sister, but I was helpless to stop myself. All I could do was run from all that threatened me with no regard for the consequences. Before long, small droplets of rain began falling. It soon grew heavy enough to penetrate the forest canopy and reach the ground where I stood. The downpour drowned out my tears and my cries. Because I had rushed from the mansion without even putting on a cloak, each cold winter droplet stung bitterly against my flesh. But the bite of the rain was like a warm embrace compared to what I'd been through before. Michael had spoken the truth. As much as I wanted to deny it, to avert my eyes, reality was forever engraved in his body. No, I don't want to think about it. But I had no say in the matter. Get out of my head!
Come over here, Giselle.
Okay, may I ask why you asked me here so late at night, Master?
Oh, I just wanted to have a little chat. Care for some wine? Come closer and I'll pour you a glass. I have this wine imported from up north. They use very hard water and like it rather tart, so it leaves quite the lasting impression on your tongue. And yet it goes down so easily you just can't seem to stop. What do you say? Have a sip. Or does your expertise as a trader allow you to evaluate a wine's quality without tasting it?
No, but,
Please, Giselle, don't trample all over my good graces.
Very well then. I will have a sip, Master, but no more.
Have you ever considered growing out your hair?
Having long hair made it difficult to do my job.
You're not a merchant anymore, though. You deserve to look like the woman you truly are. I have no doubt longer hair would accentuate your natural beauty. It's a gorgeous shade of black, so deep a man could get lost in it for years. It would contrast the color of your skin fabulously. Highlight your eyes, your cheekbones, your nape, your shoulders, and your chest.
I should get going.
Oh, but we're not done talking yet.
I would not want a lack of sleep to interfere with my ability to work tomorrow. Thank you very much for the wine. It was delicious.
No need to be so cold-hearted now. From the moment I first laid eyes on you.
Master! That's enough fooling around for one night.
Now, don't be afraid. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. I simply want to express my love.
Let go of me! I only came here to work, nothing more.
The first time I saw you, I thought it would be tragic waste to leave you to wither away working at some little street-side shop.
Stop!
You can't tell me you didn't know a merchant girl had no place in a house like this, even as a servant. There's only one reason you would be allowed here.
No, I swear it never even crossed my mind.
It would seem you're even more innocent than you look. But you figured it all out by now, haven't you?
No, let go of me! Stop this!
Keep your voice down. Don't shout, Gazelle. If anyone were to find out about this, you'd be the one shouldering the consequences, not me.
But...
You're a maid, and I'm the master of the house. Whose word do you think holds more weight? Don't worry, I won't do anything to hurt you. I promise your family will be exceptionally well taken care of. Your mother will have the comfortable life you wanted for her. But you know what will happen if you raise a fuss and make a fool of yourself. Not only will your family not get any of our money, and not only will your sister not get to marry, you'll all spend the rest of your lives on the streets.
How could you be so cruel? This is blackmail.
Blackmail? For a merchant's daughter, you don't know much about trade, do you? Then let me give you a little lesson about market value. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understand? Now, let me see that beautiful body of yours.
He was an older man, so I hadn't expected him to be very strong. But I couldn't break free of his grip, and I found myself entirely at his mercy. Beneath the gaudy outfits lay a hungry beast, and I was seeing the creature's true colors for the first time that day. The aging man ran his disgusting, slobbery tongue across my exposed skin. Everything he placed his hands upon withered away. Every piece of flesh he pressed his lips against putrefied, rotted, decayed, rankled. I trembled in revulsion as the man laughed, seemingly interpreting it as something else. I wonder what kind of place hell was. If hell's wardens only flayed and carved their prisoners, I would have preferred that instead. I would have rather been sliced into tiny little chunks and cast into the hellfire. I would have chosen eternal torment over being touched by this man another second. But I didn't get to choose my hell. Eventually the man forced open the gates I'd been holding fast and spread his festering death inside me.
Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my god. Fuck me. Oh god. Listen to me, Giselle. It is in both of our interests to keep this between the two of us. If you can do that, I'll continue to do good by you and your family. Oh, don't look at me like that, please. I'm thrilled to have you here in this house, Giselle. She has long since lost her mind, after all. It's torture just being in the same room. And my sons, they hardly ever come home. But you, Giselle, you give color to my dull life. You make it exciting once again. Now, go on back to your room. I'll be waiting here at the same time next week. Oh, fuck. Jesus, fucked up.
I couldn't escape from that man's grasp. Not when he used my family against me. Some weeks I would just not go to his chambers, my one feeble means of resistance. But when I did that, he would send another Abigail to come find me the next day. I couldn't ignore his summons when he got other people involved. And then, when the two of us were alone, the mask would come off, and he would discipline me for not showing up before taking care of his usual business. On good days, he would leave bruises in inconspicuous places. My abdomen, my inner thighs, but he went as far as carving a word into my skin with a knife. Harlot. That was why I was afraid of knives. That was why I was afraid of men shouting. I wasn't even sure what to regret anymore. I was in far too deep. There was no turning back the clock. I even considered taking my own life on more than one occasion. But every time the thought crossed my mind, happy memories came with it. Back when it was just the three of us girls in the shop. Life may have not been easy, but it was never dull either. I didn't want to end my life at its absolute lowest point. I wanted, if just temporarily, to go back to the way things were back then. The objective was the only thing that allowed me to keep going. When I was in his presence, I tried to convince myself that I was merely an object. I had no emotions, so he couldn't hurt me. I was merely a vessel, a construct of flesh and bones. His hands couldn't reach my heart, for it was not connected to my body. Doing that made it a little easier to bear. But the reality was, it was impossible to completely sever my heart from my body. You're Giselle, aren't you? One day, the mistress of the estate stopped me in the halls. She had supposedly once been quite beautiful, but now she was only haggard and bony. Her skin dry, her eyes sunken, her hair faded and stripped of its luster, her head down, her cracked lips barely moving as she spoke. Age didn't appear to be the only thing working its merciless magic on her either. There seemed to be something eating away at her from the inside too. Something that could burst at the lightest touch. Yes, I'm Giselle. Is there something I can do for you? The mistress rarely ever left her chambers. I'd been told that it had been years since she attended family supper. So what would bring her to come looking for someone like me? You... What? I wasn't sure I wanted to know the answer. You're having relations with my husband, aren't you? You are, aren't you? Madam...
You wretched little creature! She was telling me the truth! One of my trusty maids caught a glimpse of you through a crack in the door. She saw you with him, you filthy rat! You seduced my husband. You devil! You conniving witch! You don't get it, do you? You don't realize how grievous your sin is, do you? Someone, anyone, restrain this girl! She's a demon, a devil! Tie her up and hand her over to the clergy! No, that won't be enough! A witch! You have to burn her bones, scatter the ashes, or she'll come back to life! Yes, execute her! Kill this woman! Burn the witch! Seize the piece she's stolen from me! Cursed! It's cursed! This house is cursed! Not only has it taken away my daughter, now it's trying to take away my husband! Oh God, please shine thy cleansing light upon this house!
I knew it would be a waste of breath trying to talk to her. She was not of sound mind. There was madness in her eyes. I didn't even have to make a fuss about it. It happened all on its own. If there was no way around it, then I should have just done it myself after the first time. I didn't have the energy to argue with her, or cry, or shout. Before long, a crowd began to form around me and the sobbing mistress, and in it stood him. I assumed he would just stand back and watch, but much to my surprise, he stepped in, with an embarrassed look on his face, to try to settle his wife down and convince her not to have me executed. Maybe he did have a heart after all, or maybe he just wanted to save face. Regardless, instead of being burned at the stake, it was decided that I would be sent away somewhere to some remote forest. One of the previous Bollinger family heads had purchased a mansion there long ago, but it had been abandoned because of the stories people told about it. They said a cursed witch dwelled in the house. She'd returned to life after being executed, and now skulked about in the darkness. It was the perfect place to banish a sinner. And so, accused of adultery, I was in a carriage on my way out of the capital the next day. I hope my mom and sister are all right. The two of them will believe in me, even if no one else does. The wooden wheels turned, carrying me away to that cursed mansion. Just a silent coachman and his single sullied passenger. Looking out through the window, I could see the city walls below fading into the distance behind us. I doubted I would ever set foot on this land again, ever cross the Grand Pont again. It was a saddening reality, but at the same time I felt a surge of relief. I'd finally escaped from that house. I'd finally escaped from that man. The sense of freedom slightly lessened the weight of everything else I was feeling. A good while after we left the capital, the coachman handed me a letter. On the sheet of parchment was a rather startling revelation. There was someone else already living at the house where I was supposed to reside, the Bollinger's youngest child. But the letter didn't say why he had been sent to the cursed mansion, only that he was there. Beyond that, the letter only made a single request, that I look after him and not ask any questions. So I'm not just being sent off to the middle of nowhere. I still have work to do. If I look after whoever's in the mansion, then they'll do the same for my family? I don't have much say in the matter either way, I suppose. The carriage rattled and shook as it traversed the stony path, and bouncing around inside it, I resolved to take back my life. The peace I had once known, the cheerfulness I had once lost, and to do so, I would forget. Lock away my memories. Bury every single terrible thing that had happened to me. Cast aside those memories and find my smile once more. I have no idea who I'm going to find there, but they couldn't possibly do anything worse to me. I'll greet them with a smile, and do my best to build up a decent relationship with them. I figured since the both of us had been banished to the same cursed mansion, there would probably be other things we had in common. And so, I would forget it all, and get my life back, get my smile back. And that was everything that led me up to arriving at the mansion. All the wounds I never wanted to open again. I didn't want to think about that. I've been trying so hard to forget about it. I wanted to forget all about it. So why? Why did you have to make me remember? All I did was believe. Believe that we can make things work. Why? How could you? God, I can't take it anymore. Once the memories had broken free, they all flooded back with perfect clarity. Exactly how he ran his hands across me. exactly where he hit me, where he cut me, like I was going through it again this very moment. The rain was cooling me down on the outside, but so much nauseating heat had built up in my gut. I vomited all over the ground. I threw up and I threw up and I threw up until there was nothing left but bile. And when I had nothing left to expel, the strength evacuated from my knees and I collapsed. I didn't know if everything was blurry because of the rain, or because my eyes had decided they were done looking at anything. The whole world twisted before me. Michael's no different. My attempts to get closer to him, to always keep a smile on, it was all a waste. The look in his eyes was terrifying. Like he didn't believe in anything at all. So he probably wouldn't have believed me if I told him the truth. If he's convinced I had an ulterior motive, there's probably no changing his mind. Such a cold rain. If I lie down here and go to sleep, I wonder if all the warmth will eventually drain from my body. And then I'll decompose and become part of the earth. You know, that might actually be nice. I like that. I always thought I didn't want to die. That I wanted to go back to the way things were. But who cares anymore? I did my best after all, and that still got me nowhere. Cheerful Giselle was all just a farce. And when I'm dead, all my worry for my mom and sister will fade away with me. Oh God, I doubt you have a place for me on high. I am, after all, an unclean woman, and I've given up on living altogether. But even if I can't get into heaven, that's okay. I want release. The rain pitter-pattered down through the leaves overhead, chilling my skin. The cold spread throughout my flesh and onto my bones, my heart and lungs and stomach, freezing me like a block of ice. My consciousness drifted away from me, and the world slipped through my fingers. More than fear, I felt relief. Utter black. And that, I was sure, was the end of me. Holy shit. Oh, fuck me. And that, I was sure, was the end of me. I am, even now, putting her through a harrowing experience, digging up the memories she locked away, the past she wanted to pretend never happened, and laying it all out before her once more. Okay, so we are Michael. Okay, that makes more sense. At first I was like, why would B be the white-haired girl? But I felt, I don't know, at the time I was interpreting the context clues as such, but apparently, yeah, that wasn't the case. But I must get her back to who she once was, even if it means forcing her to endure this. She must remember everything, because I need to know. Why did she become the maid? And what secrets does this house hold? You're Michael. Yes, my name is Michael. I'm not the white-haired girl. The person you were searching for was the man who once hurt you deeply. Me. Why? What was her why referring to? Why I hurt her? Or why I'm here? Or perhaps, why I didn't show up until now? Not having an answer for her, I clench her cold hands in mine. I wonder, were her hands as cold that night too? There's still more we need to see though, and it's still too soon for me to apologize. When she's gotten everything back, only then can I. Once she's reclaimed her old self, that is when I must tell her. Now, let's return to our past. Our story has only just begun. No matter what we ought or what we desired, no matter what we lost or how much pain we suffered, we must not shut this door. There's more?!
Perfect darkness embraces us once more. I can see nothing, not even the woman beside me, but I shall not let go of her hand. I do not want her to slip away from me. I do not want to lose her. Okay, we're stopping. We're stopping. Oh, holy Mother of God. What? I did not at all expect this to take even more of a fucking turn. Like, I was already amazed last episode because I was like, oh, what? The black-haired maid's the witch and she's behind everything and yada, yada, yada. But that wasn't even it. It was just straight up, oh, yeah, no, all of that was a fucking lie. That was a complete lie. What the fuck, dude? So, we're not the white-haired girl. We're Michael. We don't even know who... here's what I'm assuming. The white-haired girl has got to be Michael's sister. That only makes sense to me. Because Michael's mother mentioned in her rambling, first I lose my daughter, and now I'm going to lose my husband. So, I'm assuming that the white-haired girl must be Michael's sister. So, clearly we're going to figure out what exactly happened to her. And it does seem that Michael has very strong and mixed feelings about his sister, or at least about the white-haired girl. Because he mentioned when he got that first portrait, and he was like, oh, at least it's not another picture of her. You know, and he's been mentioning this her throughout the entire time, and then obviously we see that he's torn up the face of the portrait of the white-haired girl. So we don't know exactly why that is. Then secondly, there obviously is the question of, like, do they ever fix their relationship? Did the black-haired maid and Michael ever fix their relationship? And like Michael said, why did she stay in the mansion? Why did she become the maid? Why is she still here? Why are we still here, for goodness sake? What happened? You know? But Jesus, it's just mind-boggling to me. So that wasn't even the white-haired girl that they were looking for. Oh my God, dude. I don't even know what to say, dude. And let me preface this. That was fucked up, bro. That was fucked up. So it wasn't even that, oh yeah, I slept with your father. No, her father basically blackmailed her and raped her. Just straight up. I mean, Jesus Christ, that got really fucking dark. We've seen some seriously like messed up shit in these stories, but that was by far the most gut dropping thing that we've seen. Good Lord. I mean, and then, oh my God, I could go over 1,000 different fucking reasons why I am just so charged up right now at her story alone. But I want to focus on this for right now. The fact that we've gotten so much backstory on the black-haired maid. Because, again, throughout this whole time, she's been a complete mystery. Just as much of a mystery as the white-haired girl. But now that we've gotten such thorough backstory on her, and we're going to get more, and I assume we're also going to get some proper backstory on the white-haired girl as well, it really is... It's now finally fully bringing everything together. Kind of, sort of. We're almost there. But, I mean, yeah, you know, from the fact that... you know, initially she was just trying to provide for her, her family. Her father's dead. They're kind of, struggling to get by. They're going by day. Her sister wants to marry, but can't because she doesn't have the financial backing, and she just wants her mom to live a nice life. So of course she would take this job. Obviously, the father is a fucking scumbag piece of shit, and takes advantage of her and her situation. Then she gets driven out of the house, again, labeled a witch by the, insane mother. So obviously we see where her inspiration came from in her initial telling of the story, where the white-haired girl was driven off because she was accused of being a witch. So you kind of see where she gets that inspiration from. And then, I mean, she's just dropped off here, not really told anything. And I mean, you gotta, and it's really depressing because you have to imagine how terrible a situation you must be in for her to be seen, for her to view her banishment to this house in the middle of nowhere with somebody that she has no idea who the fuck they are. You know, for her to even begin to view that as a relief purely because of the fact that she's not gonna be assaulted anymore by the father. That's a dark fucking place to be in. That's a really fucking dark place to be in. And I mean, man, dude, like, fucking crazy. And then of course, like, Michael's over here being all fucking all suspicious and pessimistic. Oh, she must be here for money. She has an ulterior motive. And it's like, oh man, just terrible fucking situation. But again, hopefully it does seem that she's going to still be alive. But it does make me wonder, like, Michael and her have to have gotten their relationship back on track to some degree after this, which is likely what we're going to be seeing. I know at the beginning of this video I said this was the final episode. I did not at all expect this to drag on this long. I thought we were going to get some like tidy little clean endings. So we'll see if we get anywhere near the fucking last episode next episode. But it's not looking very likely right now. Another thing I want to mention is that those other options of like, oh, accept her offer or reject her offer, I'll probably end up going over those at like the very, very end of the series. So I'll probably go back and do those, maybe even as separate episodes, depending on how long they are, but you'll see. Anyways, that's it for me for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any of the videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it for me, and I'll see you in the next one.